There is something about Glenn Powell swearing that is the most uncanny thing that I have ever experienced. My name is Maddie, welcome to my channel. Hi, how's it going? I don't know who this person is. Oh my god, stop! Literally stop. I've abandoned this channel for over a year, so I thought it was about time I came back. I have several film and TV recommendations for you and several film and TV unrecommendations for you. This is everything that I watched in June and July, and boy howdy did I watch a lot. So let's get into it, shall we? Huh? That is on fire! Starting off strong, we have Madam Web. Good god, but this is possibly the worst movie that I have ever seen. I wanted this to be so bad that it's funny, like a Twilight vibe, and this was not it. The characters all talk the plot, there are no real character arcs, the storyline is just flat and boring, and I didn't like it. But hey, Sydney Sweeney is in it, I guess, if you're into that. Up next we have Good Time. As you can see here, I refilmed this so that I have this ability to give you space, because I was like over here initially and now I decided I should be at the side so that you can have... Anyway, chat, are we cooked? When you think it can't get any worse, it absolutely can. This was wild. It is phenomenal to get to the end of the movie and then just see how far that we've come and remember what we were like at the beginning of the movie. No one on Letterboxd is picking up on the Of Mice and Men themes, and I'm gonna need to question you about that. Like, we all got that book shoved down our throats in high school, right? I did not, because I was homeschooled. But everyone else did, right? Did y'all fail high school? I can't be the only person that's picking up on it. Please tell me you did. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. Anyway. Anyone but you. Ugh, they really tried. It's not a bad modern Shakespeare adaptation. I am just so finicky when it comes to rom-coms, and I did not like this one. But I'll admit that this one's on me. This is my fault. I'm to blame here. Everyone else seems to love this movie, and I just don't, because I'm not like the other girls. Stop. It honestly felt like any time they had the characters swear, it felt like they were doing that to try to appeal to a younger audience. There is something about Glenn Powell swearing that is the most uncanny thing that I have ever experienced, and I can't explain why. It just does not feel natural for him to swear. Bones and all. I could make an entire separate video on this. I hated this. This was disastrous. I did not like a single thing in this movie. Everyone's saying that it's such a beautiful metaphor for love, and let me be a pretentious creative writer for a second. The metaphors in this movie literally do not work. In every single metaphor, you have what's called a tenor and a vehicle, and the problem with this movie is that the tenors and vehicles are not matching up, or they switch, and that just destroys the entire metaphor. This would be a good movie for symbolism, something that's highly symbolic, but the problem with that is that the emotional resonance in the entire movie constantly shifts, and it's not consistent, and it's not good, and I don't like it. I don't like it. But hey, if you like this movie, good for you, but I also have some questions. Another bad movie, but in a completely different way, Requiem for a Dream. I don't think I have ever been so depressed after watching a movie in my entire life. My stomach hurt for hours after watching this. I could not relax. It is a great movie. Very well done, very emotional, very effective, but I would like to never watch it again ever. I feel I still have not recovered from this movie. There are images in this movie that absolutely haunt me, and I would not recommend. Like, go for it if you want to be in pain. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. I wouldn't. Let me be clear. Okay, that's a little better. Up next we have Creed. I'm not gonna lie, this was kind of mid. This feels like a screenwriter's dream. Everything that you get taught to do in screenwriting is so meticulously followed. I could see every twist coming. They try to be unpredictable, and like, nothing about this movie is necessarily bad. It is a good movie, but it feels like a status quo movie, if that makes any sense. Like, this is a movie. Like, if you go to make a movie, this is the movie that like everyone wants you to make. Like, this is a movie. And I like the wacky stuff, I like the weird stuff, I like seeing the stuff that you're not supposed to do, and I want it, it's not wacky enough, okay? It's not wacky enough for my little wacky brain, and I wanted something more. Up next we have Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End. Oh yes, cinema. Absolute cinema. There is so much in this that I would not let other movies get away with. There are so many points in these movies that are just straight up dumb or don't make sense. The third movie in particular is so wild. There's so much plot that there's no longer a plot. Do you know what I mean? Like, is Davy Jones the villain? Is Beckett the villain? Is Calypso the real villain? We don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. We're just gonna throw everything together and put it in the movie because why not? Are they necessarily good movies? I have no idea. I am so blinded by nostalgia that I will never know. Like, these movies honestly are like my blueprint for like the fantasy adventure type movie. I don't need Lord of the Rings and the medieval like elven stuff or Game of Thrones. I don't need any of that. I just need pirates going on these wacky adventures, meeting these mythological creatures like Davy Jones and the Kraken. That is the stuff that I love. And here we are. Pirates 2 and 3 are definitely a little wacky, but I still think Curse of Black Pearl like can hold up as a great movie. My nostalgia aside. I just love the characterization of Jack Sparrow and how throughout the entire movie we're not sure if we can trust him. We don't know if he's the bad guy or the good guy. We don't know if he's an absolute fool or a genius. And one thing that I didn't really pick up on until this most recent rewatch, which might be kind of embarrassing because I have seen this movie probably 10 times throughout my entire life, is the fact that towards the very end, when Jack and Barbossa are about to fight each other, Jack steals one of the Aztec gold medallions. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not know that he did that purposefully so that he could not get killed by Barbossa. I thought he was just being greedy and he wanted the gold and he like couldn't stop himself from keeping the gold. But even not picking up on that kind of works so well because you could still argue it either way. Is he a genius or is he literally just a pirate and he's greedy and he wants the gold? Like, I think now he did it on purpose, but like I literally didn't realize that. I love that. I love that there's these tiny little things that you could see plausibly either way. I just think that that's fantastic. I love it. I love Jack Sparrow so much. That kind of characterization kind of gets destroyed in the second movie because Jack Sparrow is definitely a lot sillier. He doesn't quite have his same wits about him. But I'll allow it because we get Pirate Elizabeth, so there's that. And then in the third movie, we have pretty much like the greatest wedding scene of all time in any movie ever, all set to one day. Hans Zimmer, I'm gonna need you to calm down, but also never do, please. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that song. That song makes me sob my eyes out. Thank you, Hans Zimmer. I literally cannot thank you enough. You have created the soundtrack to my entire childhood. Like every other month, I just think about those movies and I just think about how much I would want to be a pirate. Could leave out the scurvy. I don't need that, but everything else about it. Like, I really would not want to go out on sea. That does not sound enjoyable. I would probably get very seasick because I do have motion sickness quite a bit. But the outfits, man. You know, I would like to shower. Showering would be a big deal to me. And the lack of food would be really, really detrimental. And like not really resources to fresh water. Like they kind of just survive off of rum and I'm not a big drinker. But everything else, like the vibe is really what I'm going for. All of that is great. I would love to experience that someday. Up next we have Babylon. This is the greatest movie title that I've seen in a very long time. What a great explanation of the entire theme of the movie. However, I think the character arcs are a little lacking. I did not like the conclusion to most of the characters. A lot of them were just unsatisfying and I just wished it kind of wrapped up a little better, especially Manny's arc. Manny is a little complicated. He's got multiple things going on, but I didn't like it. But title absolutely slaps. Goated title, you know what I'm saying? And one of my favorite 5 Seconds of Summer songs. So, Tinkerbell and the Legend of the Never Beast. Honestly, this goes hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. Is this more Fawn's movie than Tinkerbell's? Yes. Is this also right up there with my love for the Pirate Fairy? Also, yes. These have to be my top 2 favorite Tinkerbell movies. Yes, I have watched all of them multiple times. Pirate Fairy is still my favorite, but Never Beast, I have never seen this one before. I have seen all the other ones before, but I've never seen this one, and it did not disappoint. I would watch this again. Up next we have Foe. Honestly, this is underrated. Letterboxd hated this, and I don't necessarily understand. This was freaky, very symbolic, very weird, very uncanny. This is probably everything that I would want in like a sci-fi movie. It's like a psychological thriller, sci-fi, apocalypse. I don't know, there's a lot of good stuff in this. I like it, and Letterboxd did not, and I just, I have some questions for you. This has kind of ruined the concept of vacuum sealing things. Will I get over it? Only time will tell. The Machinist. I love Christian Bale so much. I literally cannot describe to you how much I love Christian Bale. I love that man. I will watch anything that he's in. Major spoilers. But this is like if Memento, Shutter Island, and Fight Club were all mixed together. This was an absolute trip. I loved it. Wonderful. Easy A. This is like Mean Girls for Nathaniel Hawthorne fans. I can't tell you why I have such a soft spot for The Scarlet Letter, but I do. Do I like the rest of Nathaniel Hawthorne's writing? Not really, but good God, I love The Scarlet Letter, and I think I will just like anything that is just remotely related to it. Bullet Train! This was so chaotic and haphazard and messy, but I loved absolutely every single second of it. The Percy joke. When Lemon goes over to the one dude, I don't know the character's name, but when he puts the Percy tank engine sticker onto Logan Lerman's head, I absolutely lost it. That is so hilarious. That is the best joke I have ever heard. I'm not lying to you. And judging people based on Thomas the Tank Engine characters is so me-coded. I can't even explain to you how me-coded that is. Major spoilers, but that one scene where Tangerine thinks that Lemon is dead and he gives him his necklace, that would have been the perfect scene for Tangerine to tell Lemon that he's always been a Toby kind of character, because that would have proved that Tangerine has been listening to all of Lemon's yap about Thomas the Tank Engine, and to call him Toby would have been so perfect, because we all know that Toby is the most reliable and dependable tank engine that there is. Up next is Good Will Hunting. This is literally the best movie that has ever been made, and I have nothing else to say about it. Annihilation. This is definitely my brand of horror or thriller, suspense, whatever you want to consider this. I still think it counts as a horror. This was fantastic. Great movie. Great book. They do have major differences between the two, but I honestly love both versions. Using Area X as an entire metaphor for grief, loss, for change, absolutely stunning. That's how you use a metaphor. Up next is Longlegs. This is not my brand of horror. I hated this so much. I cannot take anything seriously in this movie. This was a bad time. I did not like it, and that's it. That's all. That's all I have to say. And that's it! Nice Guys! Oh, Ryan Gosling and his girly pop little screams. I was gonna say a certain C word, but I don't think YouTube would be happy with me for doing that. Ryan Gosling needs to do more comedy movies. Like, he is a great actor regardless, but I think he really shines in comedy. I love that man. Absolutely wonderful. Along with Christian Bale, I will probably watch anything that Ryan Gosling is in. Mummy? Sorry. This was way more horrifying than I ever expected it to be. This was good. This movie kind of has just a little bit of everything. It has drama, it has comedy, it has romance, it has suspense, it has horror. Overall, a good time. And the graphics still hold up despite this movie being made in the 1900s. Gangster Squad. This was bad. I didn't like this. Why does Ryan Gosling sound like that? Why does he have a weird little voice in this movie? He kind of always has a bit of a weird little voice, but his voice is very endearing, and this one was just weird. And I also just don't care about the mafia. So, this didn't do it for me.
Didn't I do it for you?
No, you did not, Gangster Squad. The Big Short. I didn't know this was supposed to be educational, and I still understand absolutely nothing. Once again, I love Christian Bale so much. I've heard that he learned drums just to film one scene. I also have heard, and I have no idea if this is true, I just hope that this is true, but I've heard rumors that because he's playing a character that has a glass eye, to make it look real, Christian Bale trained his left eye to be lazy, because glass eyes don't move in the same way that regular eyes do. Like, how do you go about doing that? How do you do that? He's an absolute madman, and I love him so much. His character is just this little introverted guy who just, like, wants to be alone and listen to his rock music, and honestly, literally me. Turns out I'm not only Ryan Gosling, I'm also Christian Bale. Venom. Does Michelle Williams play every love interest that the protagonist just cannot have? Like, between this and Manchester by the Sea and The Machinist and Shutter Island and what was the other one I was thinking of? Blue Valentine. She is always, like, the ex-girlfriend or the ex-wife that the protagonist has to get over. Tom Hardy, honestly, an underrated comedy actor. I did not know that he could be this funny. I'm not gonna lie to you, for about a solid 10 years, I had no idea what Tom Hardy actually looked like, because you don't see him in Dunkirk, you barely see him in Batman, and I had watched Inception so long ago that I had not realized that that was him. Just a little tidbit there. The relationship that we see between Eddie and Venom is like the greatest love story of our generation, and I honestly cannot wait to watch the second one, and I can't wait for the third one to come out where we fully see that relationship develop. I think that's going to be very special. All right, on to TV shows that I watched. Up first, we have What We Do in the Shadows. I watched the first season, and if you're wondering, but wait, there's 5 seasons, why did you only watch the first one? I am late to every trend ever, and I only started watching this show 2 months ago. If there's anything that I love more than pirates, it's vampires, and I also just love the mockumentary kind of style of television, and it works so well. This show is so funny, it's so outrageous, and I love absolutely every single second of it. I heard that they're making a 6th season, so we'll see if I will catch up by that time. Probably not, and that's okay. Up next we have Acolyte. I don't have anything good to say about this, so I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm just kidding. I'm too much of a yapper, and this is my channel. This was bad, but in a very frustrating way. It's not a bad story, but it's a bad Star Wars story. And if you think that that doesn't sound like the most Star Wars fan explanation ever, I don't know what does. I literally am the stereotype that no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. This entire show just feels like it is appealing to prequel fans to try to get them to stop hating the sequels, and in particular, to try to get them to stop hating The Last Jedi. Just this idea that there is bad and good in everyone, that there is literally like this dyad of 2 people who are not 2 people but secretly 1 person, and the fact that the Jedi kind of screw things up without intending to, the fact that you have a teacher who has failed their student and caused a lot of harm and caused the rising of a Sith. I don't know, it's just all too familiar. And to me, it's just disappointing that we have something that is so far removed from the Skywalker saga. It is set 100 years before the prequels, and still it feels like we're seeing the same thing over and over again. Like, I wanted to see kind of like how the Jedi were formed. How did people discover that they can use the Force? And how did they even organize the tenets of like being a Jedi? And how did the Sith form? And how did they deviate from the wisdom of the Jedi? Like, how did that contrast develop? And instead we see a show where the Jedi are already this giant entity. They are already a fully formed like legion of people, and it just feels like we already saw that in the prequels. We already saw their downfall in the prequels, and we're kind of just seeing the same thing over again. And I wanted to see the very start of the Jedi. And it's just disappointing that we hear these terms Jedi and Sith, and because we are Star Wars fans walking into this show, we are just expected to know what those terms mean, because of course we know what those terms mean based on all of the other movies. But for someone who is going into Star Wars not knowing anything about the universe, they are going to hear these terms and have no idea what it means. Why can't we see it? Why just use the terms? Like, show us what that difference looks like. I don't know. I got too frustrated with this show, and I didn't like it. To end on a high note, I saved the best for last, which is The Bear. The Bear. Once again, I'm late to every single trend. I watched this for the first time. I watched all 3 seasons, and I just absolutely fell in love with this TV show. This is probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time now. I cannot fully explain everything that I like about this show. There's 1, just too much, and 2, I don't know how to explain it. I just love how they build up the relationship between the characters. I love their use of flashbacks to really give that emotional resonancy. That's not a word. I love the flashbacks they use to give emotional resonance. Oh my god, I feel like I'm on the basement yard right now. I love the flashbacks they use to give emotional resonance to all the characters in this show. Like, at first with season 2, when they had the solo episodes for Marcus and Richie, I was just kind of a little wary, like, where are we going with this? Why are we splitting off and focusing on other characters? But the way that they do that, and then it brings more awareness to those character situations when you see all of them together, is just absolutely beautiful. I know a lot of people have not liked season 3, but I honestly think that season 3 is just as good as seasons 1 and 2. In season 3, we are seeing all of the characters so disconnected from one another. No one is really understanding one another, and to make the season feel so disjointed with all the characters kind of in their own little world, I think it's just perfect. I love how the structure of all of the seasons mirror what the characters are going through. Because I'm late to every trend, I am not used to having to wait for like the next thing to come out. I do not like having to wait for season 4. I literally want it now. I am so impatient. I don't want to wait for it. I want it now. I need it now. Please. Please. And with that, that is everything that I watched in June and July. I hope you liked this video. If you want to see more of these videos, you know what to do. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd or Goodreads or StoryGraph, you can do so. You can also follow me on Instagram and YouTube and absolutely nothing else because I do not have Facebook and I do not have Twitter. Those are the only places that you can find me. Stay long, you little pirates. Bye-bye. Up next we have Good Time. I should be doing this the entire time. We have Good Time. Right here. Can you see it?